Welcome to this special edition of the G-Shock Watcher, where we are taking the story on the road into China, where I spent the last couple of weeks with my family on vacation, and I took with me the GWG-B1000 Mudmaster, and I wanted to share with you my impressions of a watch like this in this particular scenario. In addition, I also want to share with you some of the watches I found and something I purchased as well. Thanks for joining. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the G-Shock Watcher. Thank you so much for joining. It's been a while since the last video, and that's because I've been away on the road for the last 3 weeks, came back and got straight back into work, and this is the first weekend back here at home. And as I said at the beginning, we were in China. Now, I flew over to Beijing, China for some work, but we coupled that trip with a vacation with the kids. Every now and again, as a family, we will go and do a sort of a large vacation where we'll really go and immerse ourselves in a country. And in the past, that has mostly been countries in, say, Europe. So we've done Finland, France, England, places like that. But my wife and I sort of said, look, China is right there on our doorstep. We really should go ahead and experience that. And look, I don't speak Mandarin, but my wife is Singaporean Chinese. My kids speak Mandarin as part of the mother tongue program here in Singapore. So we thought, why not actually go over to China to really experience that? And especially when you think about Singapore as a very hot place, and China at this point in time can be quite chilly. So it's a nice sort of change in terms of temperature, incredible history that we wanted to be able to go and experience. So our flight plan actually took us from Singapore up to Beijing. We then caught a train from Beijing over to Datong. From Datong, we caught a train down to Xi'an. From Xi'an, we took a train to Chengdu and immediately jumped on a second train to go up to the Zhujiagung Valley. I know I'm saying that wrong. And then after the valley, back down to Chengdu, where we did a couple of things and then flew back to Singapore. So a fairly extensive trip, but I kind of feel like we really were scratching the surface as it relates to what's available in China. We saw some amazing scenery. We met the farmer who discovered the famous terracotta warriors, that incredible, immense, archaeological dig. We ate some absolutely incredible food, although the kids probably fought over it a little bit more than what I expected. We participated in numerous photo shoots, much to my daughter's delight. We rode bikes on top of one of the world's most ancient city walls. We participated in a panda program to witness how the pandas had mastered the right-hand turn. And we also checked out some amazing tech. So during this trip, I decided to take the Mudmaster GWG-B1000 for a run. This is a fairly stylish watch with the rose gold, the medals, the red band. It's got all the cool features, temperature, altimeter, barometer, compass. Did I kind of use all those features? No, but I did get to use the altimeter when I was sort of going up to the higher altitude areas. I did try the temperature because I wanted to see how cold it actually was. I mean, I could look at my phone, but what I also learned was you kind of need to remove the watch from your wrist for 20 to 30 minutes to be able to get a reading, and even then it is indicative at best. But the altimeter was kind of cool. I got to see it happen, and outside of that, I didn't use the compass at all. I was interested to see if the features would work in terms of the multi-band 6 to get the receiving signal, because I was in China and there is an atomic clock there in Beijing. But there were some challenges with this particular watch, and I think to really highlight that, I need to kind of show you the watch from an overhead point of view. So let's switch over to that camera there. So this is our watch. This is the GWG B1000. This is a great watch. I love it. It's a good weighty watch, very tough, big thick red band, two two latches on the band itself. I love the color combination. We've got that sort of rose gold feeling on the top and bottom. We've got the dark colors, the yellows in there, the reds. It's a fantastic watch to be able to go ahead and actually wear. However, the situation in China and wearing this particular watch could have been exacerbated by the weather itself. And what tended to happen is the air being so dry and so cold is that it really impacts your skin. Like if I put this watch down for a second, show you my hand, the skin is very, very dry still to this particular day. Like it hasn't fully recovered yet. And that makes your skin incredibly fragile. I mean, maybe I'm an older man and that's probably the thing, but this particular watch itself is fairly weighty against it. And so against the wrist, it's not too bad. Preview of the watch I want to show you. But what I tend to find is that when you are wearing this particular watch, in fact, let's take off this watch, which I want to show you, and put this one on. When we put this watch onto our wrist, you'll kind of get the idea of where there's potentially a little bit of a challenge here. So we're wearing the watch on the wrist, and what happens is as you're sort of moving during the day, your hand comes up and pushes up against where the crown actually is, right? And that starts to really rub raw very quickly. In fact, you can kind of almost see there's a bit of discoloration there where the skin was being impacted. And so I had the watch on, and every time I sort of took clothes off, it would push up against here. I would move my wrist, it would push up against it. And just the skin being dry kind of impacted that particular area. So that was a bit of a concern during that time. The other thing is as well, because of the weather, things just feel a little bit harder and tougher. And so the band in the morning, obviously, without that sort of body heat and that warmth, was fairly stiff. Maybe I need to wear it a little bit more. But, I was kept thinking, do I wear it tighter? Do I wear it looser? What's the right way to be able to go ahead and actually wear this particular watch? And then, of course, as you're sort of putting on jackets and jumpers and sweaters and all those different things, you're putting this on and off on your wrist. And as you are, it's going over the watch and coming back. And this watch is certainly not a low profile watch at all. It's fairly big, and so it gets caught a lot and gets dragged across your arm, and so you'll tend to sort of feel that. So I love the watch, right? I think it's a great watch, maybe good in more hotter temperatures where you're not having to take off sweaters and things like that. Maybe if you're outdoor and hiking and you're wearing light t-shirts and shorts, those sorts of things might make this particular watch a good watch to wear. But with the changing of clothes all the time and the dryness of the skin, the coldness of the air, I am in a point of sort of hesitation to say it's a great watch to be able to go ahead and actually use. I'm sure many will say otherwise, but with heavy jackets and sweaters and taking them on and off, going inside and outside, that was a bit of a challenge. Maybe the idea should be looking for something a little bit more low profile that would just sort of slip across the watch as you went ahead and took jackets and jumpers off. Could be an option as well. So getting to the end of the vacation, I happened to come across a G-Shock store in Chengdu. In fact, I'd actually sort of found another place that was selling G-Shock watches, but not necessarily a dedicated G-Shock store. And I found this particular store just in one of the sort of touristy old town areas. In fact, there's lots of different Western brands that are there. There was Starbucks, which looked kind of cool. But I found this G-Shock store, and my daughter sort of dragged me into it. And, there were a lot of watches I hadn't actually seen before. I'll show you some of those. But I want to show you the watch that I picked up. It's this particular one, this Skeleton Crew. So let's go to the overhead camera and give you a closer look. So this is the watch I picked up in China. This is the GA900 TS-4A. And this was actually released back in September of 2021. So it's certainly not a new watch, but it was a watch which struck me when I saw it. I mean, it was the band which caught my eye. You can actually sort of see in this picture here, but you've got this sort of interesting stitch on the actual band saying, talking about the G-Shock features. Nothing particularly spectacular on the back, but a nice band, a nice sort of feel. This sort of translucent casing on the actual watch, and the colors of the hands is very, very cool as well. The black, the red, which is sort of matching the band, and the white. Now, of course, there are things I don't like about this watch, and normally I would not buy this watch because of it. I mean, one of them is the negative display. I don't really like the negative displays, and we've talked about this before. It's kind of like my old man eyes. It's harder to go ahead and actually read, and certainly impossible at nighttime. That's an issue. The other thing is that this doesn't have any solar or anything like that. It's a battery watch, and typically I don't buy battery watches. But it's actually a very comfy watch. It's got multiple time zones. It's got my grubby fingerprints all over it. But it's got multiple time zones. I can set it to Singapore, Beijing, all those different things. It's got stopwatch. It's got timer. All of those features in there, and just looks kind of cool. I think it was a really nice sort of watch, and I ended up wearing it for the last couple of days and felt it was very, very comfortable. The light on this is really basic at best. I mean, when you use this, you might be able to just get a glimpse of where the hands are on the particular watch, but you're not getting a really good sort of lighting experience. But that was what I picked up while I was actually there, the GA900TS4A. The Tech Skeleton Collection, it's actually called. I like it. I like the band. I think it's a pretty cool watch. But there's some other watches that I want to show you as well. So there were 3 other watches which I actually saw at that same shop, which I took interest in. Of course, you can't buy every watch, otherwise you risk divorce, I guess. But there was some interesting watches which were available. One in particular was an exclusive watch to Chengdu, which is famous for all of the pandas that are just eating bamboo, 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 and doing all of these different things. I'll come to that one last, but I'm going to switch over here to the screen. I did come across this particular one, the Shiba Inu Hunting Dog of Japan watch, which came out in September 2024. I hadn't actually seen this particular watch, and probably something that I'd had missed out on. Interesting watch, brown. In terms of capabilities, it's not solar. It's not got anything sort of fancy. It's got different time zones, but a cute watch all the same. If you're into Shiba Inus, I guess many people love those sorts of dogs, so that was a kind of cool watch to find. Another watch which I found, which I want to bring up here as well, is these watches, these blue and white porcelain watches. And I happened to see this particular one on display, which is a GA2100B. So it should be a Bluetooth. It's not Bluetooth. It might have been a Bluetooth. Maybe it's GA-B2100. So I get that right. But this is the blue-white porcelain watch. And it's a very sort of interesting, pretty watch from the blue and white porcelain collection. You can see the picture that I actually had of that particular watch here in the store. But what I was interested in is not particularly this one, but I kind of like the DW5600 watch. This is a really cool looking watch. You can sort of see the blue and white pattern on it, but also the dragon as it goes through. This is a really interesting looking watch itself. Now, again, nothing fancy. We're not sort of getting solar or Bluetooth or all those different things. Maybe this is a change for me, but looking at this watch, I think it's really, really cool. And I wish I'd picked it up. But I did have a look on Buyee, and on Buyee it is available at the moment, and it's only at about 7,000 yen. I mean, like I said, no massive capabilities. 5 hours left, 0 bids. I might even have to go and give that a go myself and see if I get in trouble. But, for $77, it's an interesting blue sort of watch which I hadn't actually seen. The last one, which I thought was really cool, was this particular watch, which is the Panda watch. And this is the Panda watch of Chengdu. It was actually a special edition GA2100 7A. Again, no real fancy capabilities, no Bluetooth, no solar, all these different things, but it was a limited edition that was done for the opening of Chengdu. I think there was 100 pieces of the actual watch itself. Chengdu is super famous for pandas. It's where a lot of the pandas in China are sort of having their sanctuaries, where they're sort of protected and trying to repopulate the population. So G-Shock did a special edition panda watch there in Chengdu, and you know, I kind of wish I did pick it up. It's kind of cute. You've got the watch itself. There's a little panda thing you can go on there. The band has a bamboo feel to it. You can actually see the watch there. It was kind of cute. It wasn't terribly expensive, but it was a unique one. But again, no tough solar. It also has the negative display, so it's kind of got the things which I don't really like about those particular watches. But limited edition, probably not too many. I might have to either get back to Chengdu for work and see if I can pick one up, or maybe ask my friends over there in China to see if they can pick one up for me as well. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, really appreciate you sticking with me for this video. It's great to be back. I apologize for taking such a long time to produce some of the videos on G-Shock. We'll come back soon with G-Shock news. I am also excited. My friends in Japan have secured for me the Earthwatch Mudman watch, which it's currently in Japan. We're going to get it over to Singapore here, so that's very exciting. But as always, thank you so much for being a part of this channel. It's really awesome. We've been taking off recently. We've got over 2,000 subscribers now, so that's just fantastic, and I appreciate your support every single day. If you're new, please subscribe, please like and comment. I really enjoy talking to you about G-Shock watches and love to share the stories with other people as well. Thank you so much for joining me today.